Hey everybody, before we start the episode, we want to let you know that we are doing our first ever live show at Dallas Comedy Club on Sunday, October 30, where we will be discussing all of the Nightmare on Elm Street films. You can purchase tickets by clicking on the link in the description or by visiting dallas-comedyclub.com. I hope you're not too chicken to be there.
You should do a sleep analogy.
Don't sleep on this one, chickens.
Okay. Hey, Con, what's up?
Hey, Jono, did you pop open all the bottles in the house? The beer, Topo Chico, Topo Chica, hot sauce, pot sauce, cot sauce, canola oil, nail polish, sardine spread, mayo stirred, mustard mayonnaise, must mayo stirred mayonnaise, tartar sauce extract, hydrogen peroxide, viscous unnamed chemical we keep in the freezer, red wine vinegar, NyQuil, GuyQuil, and the Ozarka. Also, did you stack the chairs on the table when the camera panned right for a second, then panned back to the left just as I looked over at them?
We have hot sauce?
Oh no, we must be haunted with Poltergeist!
I know just who to call.
If Caroline's stuck, it's on the television. Who are you gonna call? Poltergeist Busters! Just to be clear, we will not be talking about Ghostbusters.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Film Fights. I am your fearless host, Jono Rodriguez. And with me, of course, is my co-host with the ghost most, my Lost Boys Oast, which is original soundtrack, co-host Conrad Hartman. Hello, Conrad. How are you?
Hey, Jono, I tell you what, I'm feeling mighty spooktacular today.
Oh my God.
We've got something very special today. For this whole month of October, we're not just picking two movies to battle it out in a brutal grudge
a brutal grudge match? Oh wow. You nailed this down.
For this month of October, we're not just choosing two movies to pit against one another in a brutal grudge match with one coming out on top to reign supreme. We are pitting entire horror movie franchises against one another and picking the orders in which they are good to not being as good.
That's a good thing to do, that.
Today, we take on the German cinema masterpiece, Der Poltergeist.
Der Poltergeisten.
Poltergeisten. Yeah.
With Herr Coach.
With Herr Coach. Yeah. And Herr Legend of Zelda Rubinstein.
Yeah, Herr.
Yeah. Directed by Herr Toby Hooper and featuring work with Herr Steven Spielberg.
Spielbergen.
He's German, right?
Yeah, that is right? I mean, I've got Spielbergen in my Volkswagen.
That's right. He directed the notoriously pro-German film Schindler's List.
I thought you were going to say E.T.
Yeah, where do you think home was? Home was Deutschland.
It was the whole fatherland, yeah.
The motherland.
It's der Fatherland.
Please don't use gendered language.
It's the non-binary land.
That's right. Yeah.
Come on, Germany, get with it.
Yeah.
And it's not Mother Earth. It's just Earth.
Yeah.
You know, it's like God. You know, it's not a he or a shim.
Yeah, it's not real. Just like Earth. Yeah.
Just like Earth. It's not real. It's flat. It is a construct.
Earth is a construct. We're floating on a turtle's back, and on that turtle's back, there are scary ghost monsters.
As well as a scary clown who was birthed from an elephant. Is that how that goes? We're talking about the same thing, right? The macroverse?
That's how clowns are created, yeah. It's so in the circus, right?
Andy Serkis, who played it.
Yes, and he is generally the ringleader He's been birthed many times.
He wasn't in Ring, nor did he direct it. I don't know.
No, yeah, at the Circus, at the Andy Circus.
At the
That's
Andy
why
Circus
it's called
Circus.
that. See, full circle, ringmaster.
Oh my
God! He's you've got Andy Circus. He mates with the elephants, and the elephants birth clowns, and that's where we get clowns.
Oh, I gotcha.
And the word clown is actually derived from the Latin for elephant, which is clelephant, and the German word for human, which is Aun. And so you put them together and you get clown.
Oh,
yeah.
I see. And you know what? That actually makes sense because, human is a thing, which is a noun. And see, that's where it comes from because it's like it's not an oun, it's a noun.
Wow. Language truly is a beautiful living art.
It really is. In fact, I think when we're through with the language, we will congratulate ourselves into the Lansbury age, where it'll be nothing but Murder, She Wrote.
Yep. Typewriters.
Universe.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that movie. So
Typewriters? She stars in the biopic about typewriters. She stars the first typewriter that was ever birthed.
Oh, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I'm also excited about the idea of actors portraying objects. Because is this a Pixar film? That's what I'm really picturing.
I think it's DreamWorks, but yeah, it looks like Pixar.
Oh, so it's like a wannabe that's not as good and going to be terrible, but it's going to sell a lot of tickets.
Right. From what I understand, it's going to be like Shrek with typewriters.
Okay. You know, that's actually I'm actually remembering the poster now because it does say Shrek with typewriters on the poster. Like, that's the tagline. It's literally, it's Shrek with typewriters. It's not even a quote from, like, USA Globe.
And, James Woods is playing the paper. And
well, it's in his contract,
Oh, why did I sound like Ronald Reagan?
Was that Ronald Reagan?
I'm playing the paper.
It was like Ronald Reagan on his deathbed, maybe.
This is what he sounded like on his deathbed. But he was dead. It didn't make
after he died on his deathbed.
Yeah, it's a deathbed, not a life bed.
Well, you don't spend your life on it.
You spend the end of it. You spend the rest of your life on it.
The rest of your life on it.
Yeah. Hey, so buy yourself a deathbed. You'll have the rest of your life.
But make sure it doesn't eat you. You don't want a deathbed that eats people, okay? We just don't want that. Or a deathbed that has a digestive system somehow, that when you try to reach your hands in to save your sister, you pull your hands out and just clean bones. Just clean hand bones.
Yep. Poltergeist.
If you think that's a random specific thing, it's not. It's from a movie called Deathbed, the bed that eats
People.
Well, it's just called The Bed That Eats.
Oh. So it should just be called Hungry Bed.
No, because that was already a movie in production at the time. In fact, this movie was in production in the 70s, but it didn't get released until, I think, the 90s.
You know how they make Hungry Man dinners? They should make Hungry Bed dinners where, like, you don't have to microwave them. You can just reach over and, like, push from your bed, push a button on the box.
Oh, and then
it heats up so you can shove it in your fat, lazy face while you're in bed.
Well, they already have TV dinners. Why get dinner from your TV when you can get dinner from your bed?
Oh, my God. That's what it is. You reach – it's stored in a special bed that has a built-in microwave. So you hit a button on your bed, and it pops out hot, and then you just slop it into your mouth.
That seems super dangerous.
Yeah, but I mean, look, if you're eating like that, you're living on the edge anyway. You're not concerned about tomorrow.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a patent for an oven bed. It's like, because hey, isn't that the American dream? You never got to get up. Okay, they've already made the lazy boy, with the fridge built in, so you can have your nice cold one for when you're watching the game. You don't want to get up, and then they have
that's a good idea.
The lazy boy with the fridge and also the toilet, which the toilet goes into the. I don't know how that works. I think it's
biodynamic. The flushes circulate the air in the fridge.
Yes,
making your Coors bottles turn blue. as the Rockies, so you know they're cold. And actually, I'm remembering now that is how they came up with the idea for water beds. Was someone came up with the oven bed, and they were in testing, and it caught on fire, and they're like, and one of their assistants threw a bucket of water on it, and he goes, oh, great, now instead of an oven bed, it's a water bed. Hey. Oh.
And he thought, oh, this will sell even better. Until the guy who came around with the sand bed. So it's like you're sleeping on the beach. That's from Seinfeld. Yeah, that's right. Kramer pitched that. Here I am thinking that's an original thought. Anyway, Poltergeist. So
yeah. So
let's get back on track.
Yeah, so let's jump right in with Poltergeist number 1.
Wait, did we mention that we're doing the Poltergeist movies?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Poltergeistin'. See, these tangents, I don't know if you checked out our best of tangent episode, but a lot of times we completely forget if we've said something or not. So we might be repeating ourselves today. Poltergeist numero uno, which is the official working title, because they knew they'd have sequels on their hands.
I would love to see movies do that. To come out, not part 1, just one.
Just one, yeah. Like E.T. 1 or
E.T. 1.
Jaws 1. I don't know why I'm just naming Spielberg movies. Schindler's
List 1.
No, but it's W-O-N. Liam Neeson won, definitely, in that movie. The Oscar.
He had a specific set of skills.
And it was freeing Jews.
Yeah, it's a good set of skills to have.
But he could have done more. He had a gold watch and a ring. He could have done more.
That movie was so sad.
He didn't save the girl in the red hood. Okay.
Spoilers. That movie is 40 years old.
It's in the trailer. It shows her like in a pile in the trailer. It doesn't. So Poltergeist 1.
You know, if I had to say one thing about Poltergeist 1, it would be that Poltergeist is a 1982 American supernatural horror film directed by Tobe Hooper and written by Steven Spielberg, Michael Grace, and Mark Victor from a story by Spielberg. It stars Jo Beth Williams, Craig T. Nelson, Heather O'Rourke, and Beatrice Straight. And if I'm not mistaken, it was produced by Spielberg and Frank Marshall. The film focuses on a suburban family whose home is invaded by malevolent ghosts and abduct their daughter.
Oh, wow. That's very succinct.
Yeah, that's if I had to really put a fine point on it.
Like if somebody just jumped out of an alley and just said, hey,
that would be my on-the-spot,
okay,
kind of gut reaction.
Well, I mean, that is how you reacted, because I was like Poltergeist 1, and you just like came to that out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, yeah.
Crazy. So this movie, it's a classic considered.
Classic,
right?
yeah.
Considered classic. It's a CC classic.
You keep saying consider. Do you not consider it a classic? That's like putting air quotes around. That's like saying this is a classic. Like you're italicizing it.
No, I'm just saying that, like, I can't say it's a classic.
Why?
I mean, I can literally if you twist my arm. I mean, it is a classic.
Why do I have to twist your arm? I'm just asking. We're here to talk about the movie, so there's some. It sounds like you got something stuck in your craw about it being called a classic.
It's definitely a classic, cool film.
As opposed to Baroque or
correct
romantic.
Yeah. It's definitely from the mind of a composer when they were like 19 and deaf or something. It's a little Beethoven joke there.
It's true because Beethoven is right now in his grave decomposing.
I don't think they ever had a grave for him. I think
because he was a composer.
I think after
he's erasing all of his music. He's decomposing.
Well, no, they didn't have like graves back then because they didn't know what.
They didn't have graves back then.
Yeah, I think when Beethoven died, they kind of like just like threw him in the trash because that was his request. Oh no, I'm sorry. They threw him in a piano. They buried him in a piano.
They didn't have graves, yet they had the wherewithal to bury him in a piano.
Well, I mean, I guess that is what happened. But they, it wasn't a traditional thing that people did.
They put him in a piano,
this was before the
and they had Elton John play "Goodbye Yellow Brick Road."
Because as we all know,
then "Candle in the Wind."
Yeah,
and then they said to everyone at the funeral, "Oh my gosh, what's that?" And while they turned around, they just shoved the piano off the cliff.
Oh, and then he played, before that he played Rocket Man because they were going to put him in a rocket and shoot him to the moon because we all know that classic Beethoven tune, Shoot Me to the Moon.
Right.
And they took that literally because, like I said, it's the 1700s. They didn't know any better.
And they got really embarrassed when they realized they did not know what a rocket was.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which is why they threw him in a piano and shoved him off a cliff.
Yeah. So I like Craig T. Nelson. He's in Poltergeist. He's the coach.
I like that you have to clarify as we come back. I like Craig T. Nelson. That's not just a random thought. He's in the movie.
Yeah, I'm reminding folks what we're talking about.
Well, thanks for keeping us on point.
Yeah, this house was built on top of a Beethoven burial ground.
That's
where they
right.
buried every Beethoven that's ever lived.
All the Beethovens from Beethoven's second, Beethoven's third with Charles Grodin.
Look, dogs don't live that long. Okay,
and actually, Judge Reinhold, I think, became the dad in the fourth one and the fifth one. So yeah, first off, I just want to get this out of the bat. I love the family dynamic.
Yeah.
I mean, this has Spielberg's gropey mitts all over this movie. It's very family forward, which is like not something you see in a horror movie at all.
Unless it's just briefly to kind of give you some exposition, but not in as well of it's not as well executed and shown as like sweetly.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and we'll get into it, but
that's
later,
what we're doing now.
Well, later, I was going to mention Poltergeist 3, where it seems like horror movies that deal with families kind of actually ape the Poltergeist 3 format, where it's like, oh, they're a family. Anyway, here's some horror. Whereas in this, it's kind of like I mean, the first 40 minutes, I don't even think we really get some spooks going until 40 minutes in, because even when. Because we get to know the family, and it's like, oh, I love this family. They're really cool, and they're real, you know. And when the spooks first start showing up, they seem kind of innocuous. It's like, oh, the chair moved. Well, that's kind of fun.
Yes, I think that it starts with Heather O'Rourke's character.
Oh yeah, that's that's the opening. Of
what's
the movie.
Her name? Nancy Drew. She's talking to the TV. When it's just static. And this is actually one of the creepiest lines in the movie to me, I think, when one of her parents says, "Who are you talking to?" And she says, "The TV people." Ugh. Fuck that. I would be like, okay, I'm destroying every TV in the house now and killing myself.
I mean, I didn't see it as that, off, because if she would have said the TV people, I would have been like, well, you tell them to get their ass here and fix our TV because it's staticky. Those cable fucking repair guys.
That's true. I guess if a little kid said, oh, I'm talking to the TV people as a parent, I'd be like, yeah, kids are so stupid.
Teletubbies is not on, dear.
Yeah.
She pats her on the head like she's stupid.
That's just static, you little shit. You stupid piece of crap.
You're watching static. They already signed off. Didn't you see that, the American whatever?
Oh, yeah. I actually had that in my notes because that's such an old school thing. And I was like, oh, remember?
Mm-hmm. I actually do.
Yeah.
I remember
too.
I remember the color bars.
Me too.
Which, when we're not going to talk about the remake, just to get that out of the way, but I thought it was, it's garbage, but I thought it was hilarious that they were going to bring the static in there. And it's like, well,
TVs don't do that anymore.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
It would just be a blue screen that says aux.
Yeah, exactly. It would be it would just no signal.
Yeah, no signal, right. They're here.
That's right. Heather O'Rourke, Carol Ann.
Oh, Carol Ann was her name. That's right.
Well, Heather O'Rourke is her real name.
I know, but I called her Nancy Drew.
Yeah, I thought it was offensive, but I let it slide because it's a podcast.
All girls look the same to me.
Well, particularly Nancy Drew. I mean,
Heather O'Rourke and her weird flat face.
God,
she does. She had a weird flat face. R.I.P.
Well, until the third one, but that wasn't her fault.
Oh yeah, she was bloated from.
Well, she was bloated from steroids because she was trying to get into the Little Miss strong lady.
Total tuna can. Shout out.
The little Miss Strong Babies.
Little Miss Strong Babies.
Yeah, so she was on those steroids. She was roiding out. But anyway.
Heather, I think that you've It had enough steroids. I'll tell you when I've had on steroids.
Anyway, so it was family forward, and then when the ghosts start spooking, the chairs move, and of course the mom is like, "You fucking kids, stop stacking the chairs so delicately on the table."
When I've turned around for 30 seconds or less.
Oh yeah, it was way less than that. It's quite a feat.
Yeah, and just from a practical effects standpoint, that was rad.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, this movie is a classic example of, like, less is more in a horror film for me, because the scary stuff in this movie is, like, the chairs stacking up, or, like, the glass breaking, or, like...
I shit myself when I saw those chairs.
Yeah, dude! That is scary as fuck. And then in the end, like, with the CGI, like... monsters.
Because
I'm like, that's not as scary to me.
Well, yeah, especially because all that stuff that's happening in the beginning, they don't like do the whole like because in a modern setting, even if they went practical with it, which they wouldn't, they would just cut to her and then cut back to the chairs, and it's like, oh, that's not impressive. But it would be accompanied with like a or whatever. But in this, it's just completely silent. Like you only hear her gasp, which is cool. And then they do the little – I love how excited the mom is when Craig T. Nelson comes home and she's like, oh, you got to check. Like she's like – it feels like such a real like kind of joy when you discover something that's like you can't explain, because she comes in there and she's like, look, and then the chair moves and then she puts Carol Ann there and it's like you're endangering your child to this unknowable thing. But it happens, and of course you can see how they did it because there's a track. It's still a good effect. It's not like a bad movie, you can tell. But
I actually didn't see the track from where I was looking at it.
Well, that's probably because you were doing the dishes while watching the movie and you were paying attention.
No, I was drinking.
Oh, that could happen too. No, but I like looking at practical effects and kind of like reverse engineering, like because sometimes the practical effects is like a magic trick. It's like, whoa, how did they do that? And you just kind of work with like, well, they could have used wires, or they could have used, they could have edited it out.
But it's more fun to just be like, it's magic.
No, I like to know. I need to know.
Oh my God, how did David Blaine sit in that box for a long time?
I don't know.
Because magic.
He didn't even have his phone.
You mean he did that without playing Angry Birds or looking at TikTok? What?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, dude. He couldn't even text his girl. Like,
there's a scene with grown men hitting on a high school aged child.
Yeah, not even just like grown men, like college guys, like the grossest men who could ever be, builders.
Yeah. Oh, hey, baby, let me see that Tootsie Roll.
Let me see that 15-year-old vag. And then she does the whole like, she does her arm and then she goes, wah. And then the guys are impressed.
Like, whoa, she's got a little attitude. She's a little spark plug, which I know how to change because I represent the working class.
I'd like to spark her in the plug.
Whoa, hey. We keep our catcalling strictly PG. We say things like, whoa, I like some fries with that shake, or like, I like the way you shaped, honey, or like, hey, I'll bet you smell like a wet seal.
Wait, like the clothing store?
Yeah.
She smells nice.
Yeah, you smell like a Forever 21, but I hope you're not 21 yet.
Boy, I hope you smell like Forever 21, but I hope you're under 21.
I'd like to shape you like an Auntie Annie's pretzel, if you know what I mean. Yeah, we're just doing places at the mall. Hey,
I'd like
Pacific Sunwear.
I'd like to Sbarro you for a moment in my bed.
Oh, hey, honey, you remind me of that weird place that sells bourbon glazed chicken that I never know what it's called. It's something different in every mall. Ooh, but it vaguely smells like onions and sugar.
I'd like to JC your penny.
Oh, hey, I'd like to go to third floor lingerie with you. Dillard's.
I barely know herds.
Oh, baby, you're the only hot topic I want to read about.
I'd like to buy you some dick-shaped gummy bears at Spencer's. By dick-shaped gummy bears, I mean dick-shaped my dick. All right, Jimmy, you should hold off on your mall puns. So yeah, they're catcalling.
Yeah,
normal. And then and of course they're even like looking in on the mom, through the window. He's like drinking the coffee, looking at her in her little shorts, and she does the blinds. She's like, "Thanks, Tony," or whatever, and she shuts it. And he's like, "Oh, it's really good." And he reaches in and like takes a taste of the stew or whatever she's cooking. Like he like gets this, and he does that look like, hope nobody's watching me. Leer in the window and eat from the pot. Like
takes a sip of his coffee and he's like, I'm gonna rape one of the girls in this house someday.
doesn't
matter which one. Not the youngest one yet.
Not the youngest one.
Wait
Dana.
at least 5 years.
I'm not a sicko. Not the father, but one of them in the house. So yeah, there's some spooky stuff going on, and
clown.
Then there's a clown. Carol Ann. There's a big storm that happens, which makes the tree come to life, just like in the old story, Lord of the Rings. And the tree goes into the house, picks up the son.
The Great Deku Tree.
Yeah, the Great Deku Tree is like, Link, you're all right. He's like,
that's not how he talks.
Oh,
Link.
I was thinking of the fairy.
Yeah.
I was thinking,
listen.
Yeah, the tree's like, hey, Link, you got to save Hyrule. And he's like, I'm Bobby. I'm not a kid. I'm not Link. And then he takes him. He tries to eat him. The family goes out. But see, this was the Poltergeist plan the whole time, because it was like, hey, you distract the family because we want that Carol Ann juiceness. It's not just the construction workers who want her. Evil Poltergeist.
Man, everybody wants a piece of Carol Ann.
Poltergeist is like, oh man, there's something about her. I got to get her into this closet.
It's the innocence of a child.
Yeah. She's a conduit. She's a seer, which we learn about later.
The scene with the tree is great.
It is. It's great.
It's a good one.
It's all practical.
It's like
stuff.
the PG-13 version or the PG version of Evil Dead. And she gets raped by the trees.
Boy, yeah. He just gets like a firm talking to.
I'm not going to rape you, but I'm going to spank you.
Oh, and what about the room when they open Carol Ann's room and there's all that green screen stuff going on where it's like everything's flying in the air. And then I thought this was cool, but like meh, where the compass was playing the record. And I was like, that's a really cool effect, but I don't think this evil ghost is like, hey, check it out.
Yeah, the ghost is like, hey, check out this bit I'm doing.
Which I think that would work. I think if you took a compass and scratched up
he was also
record.
squeezing a rubber chicken. Get it? It's like singing along with the record. I'm a funny, malevolent spirit.
He's like dancing, and he's like, goody little two shoes. Got another Evil Dead, except it's Army of Darkness reference.
I got it.
So yeah, the big Poltergeist makes a song and dance about, hey, I got you, girl, and then the family's like going crazy
because Carol Ann's now trapped in the house.
That's right, she's trapped in the walls of the house.
Is going to be the first of two Poltergeist ripped off the Twilight Zone. There is a very famous, one of the most famous episodes of the Twilight Zone is called Little Girl Lost. And this episode has a little girl that accidentally crosses through a portal in her home to another dimension. They can hear her in the house. They can't find where the portal is, and they're trying to find it before it's too late, and the portal closes up. This was parodied also in one of the Treehouse of Horror episodes of The Simpsons, Homer Cubed.
See, that's interesting you bring that up, because I thought that because when you were describing that, I was like, sounds like you're describing that Simpsons episode. And I was like, I thought I had it backwards. I thought Twilight Zone ripped off The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah. They ripped it off in the in the 1960s.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
because
actually
the Twilight Zone exists at all times.
That's right. I mean, we all know
the
Rod
past and
Sterling.
in the future.
Rod Sterling.
What you are about to see is a nightmare.
He talks with that, like, smoker's grin. You know what I mean? Like
Smoker's grin?
Yeah. You don't know what that is? It's where it's like he's so mad that he can't smoke right now, you know, because it's been like 5 minutes since he had a cigarette. So he's like, what you're about to see?
How's my wife, Doc? It's not good. She's got the worst case of smoker's grin I've ever seen.
Have you tried giving her a cigarette? No dice. We can't allow that in the hospital.
Yeah, it's where he tucks his top lip behind his gums.
Yeah.
Almost like he's doing a Jim Carrey character, the fireman guy.
Fire Marshal Bill.
Yeah, that's what I said, fireman guy.
Well, I mean, all the men had that look because, I mean, doctors were just like prescribing cigarettes to everyone, you know? Take 2 cigarettes in the morning and 2 more packs in the day.
Doctor, I'm really depressed and despondent. Sounds like you're what we call a little bitch. Here's a pack of Camel Unfiltered.
No.
Go smoke them all at the same time, drink a 5th of bourbon, and don't ever call me again.
No, you would say, oh, doctor, I'm feeling depressed and I get headaches every day. Here, take these Gentleman's Habit cigarettes. Yeah, they'll perp you up. And someone else comes in, hey, doc, I skinned my knee. Sounds like you could use some Gentleman Habit cigarettes. And then a little boy comes in and says, my dog ran away. Sounds like you could use a cigarette.
And you know what? Just to make those cigarettes go down even smoother than they already will, here's a solution of opium, cannabis, cocaine, and alcohol.
Now run along.
Laudanum. So that is exactly what happens in this. The same as the Twilight Zone episode, Little Girl Lost.
Well, I'm sure they didn't, like, rip it off. Because, like, you know, it was probably like a folklore story where a child goes missing. And they were kind of like, well, it looks like we're taken directly from that episode. But really, it's just about the general, you know, like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Like, Alvin Schwartz did not write those stories. They're taken from folklore, and he's just kind of written his own version. There's references in the back.
Yeah, we know the old ancient Native American folktale called Little Girl Lost, where a little girl gets lost in the middle of her house.
Well, it's German, so it's like the German Apache story.
Yeah, they were like, little girl can't be found in Stein.
Yeah, you know the German Indians from I'm sorry, the German Native Americans. The German Native Americans.
Oh yeah, we smoke a peace pipe.
And then they had that story.
How did I just somehow be racist towards Germans and Native Americans?
Yeah, that was a double racism. Cue the music. Anyway,
I love when she's lost and the parents are falling asleep and the TV static's on and one of the kids or the paranormal researcher or something goes turn the TV off and they're like, turn it back on, please. Please, I want the TV static on.
Yeah.
Somehow that makes me feel closer to her.
Well, especially because they have like those bags under their eyes, so it makes it look like they're addicted to the static. And I don't know about you, but every time it had a close-up of the static, whether it was at the beginning of the movie or any point, when there was a close-up of the static, I kept wanting the electric gremlin from Gremlins 2 to pop in there. I was just expecting it to happen. I was like, oh, this is like a 3D picture. I just got to unfocus my eyes and I'm going to see the gremlin. He's going to be all like, rah!
Speaking of
Gremlins.
over the top, I love one of the paranormal researchers when he rips his face off in front of the mirror.
That was really
cool. It was terrible effects, but I still loved it.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was like Gumby's face was melting or something.
Yeah, because like it shows it's you know, like any old or bad werewolf transformation scene where it shows the person and then it just cuts to something else and then it cuts back and it just like more stuff is added. But in this, it was clearly it was his face, like a person, you know, and he's like clawing at his face and then it cuts to the sink and when it cuts back, it's like, okay, that is a dummy. That is that no longer represents a human person.
That is a corn on the cob with Play-Doh on top of it.
And it's funny because you see these, and it's juxtaposed by the fact that there's human hands clawing at it from below.
Right, yeah.
It's just like, oh, this looks weird. It's like when you see a a person portraying a headless person, and it's like, oh, those shoulders don't look right. They're not in the right spot. No one's ever going to replicate the headless doctor in Reanimator, because that is perfect.
It was very good.
Anyway, so Caroline dies. Spoiler. No, she's in the other side. She's on the other side.
So also in kind of the same, a similar part of the movie, this is another effect thing I wanted to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
The steak. The steak that's on the counter, that's, first of all, clearly like a rubber steak to begin with. It looks like when you buy a kid the like fake kitchen toy and it comes with like fake hard plastic burgers they can make, like steaks and eggs.
Like a dog toy.
Yeah, like a dog toy. It's like a raw T-bone steak. And it's clearly plastic, but then it becomes a worm, and so it's like scooting, inching across the. I liked it. I thought it was hilarious.
You know what I bet that was a reference to? It had to be a reference to the. This is real. The short film by Jan or Jan. I don't know how you pronounce it. He's a Polish filmmaker from the old times, but he made like stop animation stuff, and he had a short film called Meat, and it's like 2 minutes long. And it is that. It's stop anim, but it's real meat. It's actual meat that he made like alive and then form into like things. And it's like, I actually love a lot of his short films. You should check it out. No big deal. Jan Smeckmeyer. Cool guy. You know, Conrad, it's possible that steak actually was a dog toy, because you remember the Poltergeist family had a dog. The dog's name? E-Buzz. Like the letter E dot Buzz. Like that drove me crazy, because I sometimes I watch movies all the time. I watch movies with the captions on, because sometimes I can't hear, right? And when they were calling the dog, they would say E-Buzz, and it said E.Buzz, and I was like, what is that name? Why don't they call him just Buzz? What is E? Is it Edward Buzz? Is his name Edward Buzz?
That's like when you're taking a hit from a weed vape pen, you get an E-Buzz.
An electronic buzz?
Yeah.
Well, it's real vape.
Yeah.
It's 100% real vape.
100% real vape.
Yeah, you don't want to get those fake vapes.
You also want to get vapes that understand your love of movies. That's why here at Real Vapes, REEL.
I got it.
I'm spelling this because this is an audio ad. We use only the finest of ingredients to make your movie-themed vapes. So come on down for your very own E-Buzz. It will give you a ghostly good high.
It's cinematastic. And then it shows a guy, and he's like taking a hit off of like Reservoir Dogs. And he's like, oh man, it tastes like a crime gone bad. It tastes like betrayal.
Oh, I like this fruit flavor. It makes me feel like a pretty woman. And when you buy it, they open the vape box and they snap it when you're shut, when you're trying to reach out for it.
And then you go, anywho.
So in walks a legend who we've talked about before.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Who else could it be but Miss The Real Magic Was Believing in Yourself herself, the legend of Zelda Rubinstein.
Oh,
That's
yes.
Right. As the medium, even though they already had paranormal researchers. So now they're like, you know what? The scientists didn't work. So let's get someone who's like cuckoo bananas. Let's get someone who's less reliable to give us an answer. And she's talking like a Southern pastor. She's like, oh, yeah, there's some real weird vibes in here, y'all. You definitely got a poltergeist, even though, by the way, poltergeist by definition just move stuff around and you never see them, but you definitely see these ghosts. And also, poltergeists don't really kidnap your children, and they don't really turn steaks into living steaks, and they don't make you pull your face off. And then you realize it was all just your imagination playing tricks on you, and they don't make clowns come to life. But yeah, y'all definitely got some bad stuff going on in here, so I suggest you paying me money to help you.
You be paying me money.
You be paying me money.
She was like, I remember what she said. The first line she said, she walks through the front door, and they do like the dolly on her, and they zoom in. She goes, poltergeist, you got a poltergeist. I was watching the director's cut. Me being the director.
When the mom goes, I'm coming, like the portal is open and everything's swirling about. I love the fan and spotlight that they used to make the portal.
Yeah.
It was definitely not clear at all that it was a fan and a spotlight.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny, too. It was like, they must have spent all their money on all those caskets exploding and the tree and all those special effects. And they were like, oh, shit, now we got to create the portal. It's like, we've only got a week left to film this. They're like, and they kind of like, at the corner of their eye, they see this like old spotlight and a big, large fan that's been cooling the extras because there's no AC in the warehouse. So like, well, there you go.
Cut. All right. So now she's got to come back out of the portal. Effects team, ectoplasm. Oh, we did not get around to making ectoplasm. Well, shit. We're filming the scene right now. What are we going to use? We do have this old chopped up grapefruit that we could just fucking throw on her face. Yeah, well, it'll have to do in a pinch. We'll fix it in post. Action.
And when I say old, I mean like,
It literally looks like she had chopped up grapefruit all over her face.
Well, I mean, that's Toby or Steven Spielberg's vision is that ectoplasm looks like that. Mm. Yeah, which, I mean, ectoplasm can look like anything.
Ectoplasm, too, yeah.
Because remember in Ghostbusters, which we were not talking about, the ectoplasm there looked like Slimer droppings is what I like to call it.
Yeah, when I was a kid, my parents didn't want to wash my socks because there were Slimer droppings all over.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
I believe you. I've seen it. So, yeah, that's the way they had to save her, is to go through the closet, which leads in from the ceiling of the living room. And they get her out, and everything's fine until the big bad Poltergeist wants to do one last showdown to shake them up, right?
And it's not a Poltergeist, actually. It's a scary monster.
It's a scary
ghost
monster. And it's once Carol Ann's goods, and the family's not having it. And so the mom gets thrown into the swimming pool, and there's dead bodies, and then Coach comes in, and he's all like, "You buried, you moved the gravestones, but you didn't move the bodies."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
And of course, like if you're seeing it for the first time in, what was it, 1979? You're probably 1982. You're probably like seeing that, and you're just like, "Oh my God!
What if my house is buried on a cemetery?"
Yeah, it was hard to sleep for those 82ians.
Let me ask you this, Jono. Their house, I guess, was the only house that was on top of bodies. This is a pretty small cemetery.
No, it was the whole neighborhood.
Yeah, then why did nothing happen to the other houses?
Because Carol Ann.
Because Carol Ann.
The bodies were like, I don't care about the Joneses, the next door neighbors.
Yeah,
remember? Yeah, they were changing. Yeah,
they were ahead of the Joneses.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were jonesing for ghosts of their ownses.
That's right. And again, going back to, I love how Spielbergian it is, and that like I really love these characters because like when they first see the spooks and they're like, oh, this is harmless, they go next door and they're like try to casually ask them, hey, do you guys have ghostly things happening here? And they don't know how to say it, and it's like that's such a relatable thing because like when they're
it happens to me all the time.
No. What I'm saying is like how they're reacting because like when they're in their home, they're like, we have to go next door to see if it's happening over there. But when they get there, they're just like, do you and they keep like looking at each other to be like, no, you ask. It's like, is anything strange? And the whole time they're like,
hey Barb, how are the kids? Oh yeah, we're gonna be grilling out this weekend too. Oh, what did we want? You know what? It's no big deal. Just go offhanded question. You are not experiencing like a vortex of evil at your house, are you, or anything? You have any sugar we can borrow too?
While we're here.
Oh yeah, no, it's nothing. It's just like our daughter getting lost in the walls, and it's getting covered in grapefruit puree, and the TV is talking, and they're threatening to kill us. And
we've got this like 4-foot woman bossing us around, saying that.
I know you know that feeling, Phil. Just kidding, Barb. You're lovely. But
she says stuff like, "This house is clean," and we're like, "Not us. Give me a towel."
Yeah, and she says, "This house is clean." It clearly was not. And then the house disappears. But before it disappears, I love that they're like, all right, we're going to go to the Holiday Inn, but I'm just going to hang out here for a little longer.
Well, I mean, watching a house disappear only comes around once a year.
Yeah, it's like Halley's Comet. You got to catch it.
Is it Halley or Haley?
It's a comet.
Okay. Yeah, so the house, totally like in The Simpsons, they must have ripped that off too, where it like goes, and the house folds itself into the closet, and then they go, well, better get to the Holiday Inn, and they get to the Holiday Inn, and what happens? That's right, Coach pushes the TV out into the hall. And then, of course, the boys are back and start playing. And
That's right. They were like, where should we stay? And Carol Ann says, hotel. The mom says, motel. The dad says, Holiday Inn. And then the son says, if your girl starts acting rude, then you bring her friends.
No, he said, I like my toast with, I like hot butter with my breakfast toast. Anyway, so that's Poltergeist. Now, the ending of the movie is weird because I forgot how kind of open-ended it is because the house folds itself up and it's like, okay, I guess that's done. And then they go to the hotel. The end. Yep. Like it feels like there's
not even open-ended. It feels like like I've mentioned many times on the show, even though I love Stephen King, it's like a Stephen King story in that they're just like, I'm tired of writing. Let's just end. He just
dusts his hands.
Yeah,
that's
Spielberg
it.
was like, and okay, so then final battle, and then the house folds itself up, and then they go to the Holiday Inn, and then we end with a little cute nod to the static TV. I don't know why I think Spielberg talks like this.
What is he talking
about? And then Coach T. Nelson pushes the TV out of the room, and he's like, not going to have that in my... that'll teach those ghosts that aren't here anymore, I hope.
And then credits. And then you're left thinking, oh, okay.
Carol Ann, no talking to the TV until you finish your homework.
Yeah, that's the message.
Stay in school, kids. And, it was too early. If it had come out in the 90s, there would have been a cool, rap, hip-hop song with a white guy that was, talking about the story, well, Craig T. Nelson was really scared because Carol Ann was talking to the TV screen, and there was only static, and it was bad.
Then Zelda Rubinstein said, this house is clean, because it rhymed with screen. And, of course, following the success of Poltergeist, we get a sequel, Poltergeist 2, The Other Side.
Oh, yeah, I always forget that it has a subtitle.
Yeah, it's The Other Side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was named after The Door. The Door song was named after this movie, even though it was written first.
Well, the movie was based on the song.
This little Easter egg, pulling back the curtain, this movie came out the year I was born. You'll have to look it up to see what year that was.
What was that, 85?
6. This movie, to me, strikes me as a 1986 American supernatural horror film directed by Brian Gibson. And starring Jo Beth Williams, Craig T. Nelson, Heather O'Rourke, Zelda Rubinstein, Will Sampson, Julian Beck, and Geraldine Fitzgerald.
No, I don't...
That's just one man's opinion.
This movie picks up exactly right where it left off in the first one, in the hotel, in the Holiday Inn, when Craig T. Nelson is like, oh, we need to see if our house made it to the news. And so he goes and gets the TV and rolls it back in. But then when he plugs it into the wall, what happens? It doesn't turn on.
Yeah.
Because they didn't pay their electric bill at the Holiday Inn.
Yes, I hope you enjoyed your stay at the Holiday Inn. Here's your bill for the minibar, and here is your electric bill. It's for the whole hotel.
Yeah. Well, that's how they get you in, because it's like, oh, it's only $5 per night. But then when you get there, they slap you with all these extras. It's like, TV, water, electric.
Curtain fee.
Yeah, curtain fee if you wanted to use that.
Desk charge.
Carpet, standing on charge. And then, of course, the charge from standing on the carpet when you get electric charge.
Yeah, that's the charge.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, that's static electricity. That doesn't come from anywhere.
Toilet tax.
Using the toilet also is a charge.
Yep. And then you've got, of course, the sink cost, which is they're trying to be like funny because it's a play on sunk cost fallacy.
Sure. Yeah.
But they call it the sink cost. We like to have fun around here. Anyway.
That's why it's called the Holiday Inn.
That's right. This is not called the Boring Day Inn.
It's not Nightmare World. That's next door. You should check it out. It's pretty cool.
Coach T. Nelson's like, I've had enough of nightmares.
Is that from...
Well, he has a pretty normal sounding voice. I gotta zhuzh it up a little bit.
So anyway, back to Poltergeist 2. After they find out the TV doesn't work because they didn't pay the electric bill, they decide, well, let's just move to Phoenix, Arizona, where my wife's mom lives, and we're gonna go live with her clairvoyant mom.
Oh, I'd almost rather live with the poltergeist than my mother-in-law. Oh.
Right. And then
get a load of this chick.
And then a Native American man named Ted
Taylor. Ted the Tool Man Taylor.
Ted the Shawman Taylor.
Yeah. And before you call us out for being insensitive, the movie starts with, no joke, has to be at least 5 to 6 minutes of these two Native American shaman literally just going
yeah, they're doing well, that's foreshadowing to when they throw up a worm monster. It's really weird. The opening to Poltergeist starts in the bedroom with static and shows you the family, and it's like, wow, here we are. This is it. This is the movie.
Yeah.
But starting the sequel with this really long, I want to say it was 10 minutes. It felt really
like a year.
Long. Yeah. Where, you see this character we don't know. He's driving a truck. He climbs a mountain, because that's what that was. That was a large spire. And it just cuts from him parking next to it, and he's on it now. It's like, I guess he climbed a fucking mountain. And then he starts a fire, and it's a blue fire, and there's a guy there, and then he disappears, and then spirits fly, smoke, animated smoke goes into his body, and then it's like, Poltergeist 2! Here's what you came for.
And we're like, okay. And we have no context yet.
Yeah. And then we see the family, and it's like, okay, we're at Crazy Grandma's house, which is how they present it, but it's like, oh, she's clairvoyant, and mom is not having it from grandma. And then we're met with the family, and then clairvoyant is being all like, oh my God, Carol Ann, she's super into or she's she gets it, she can see the future or whatever she's talking about. And mom's not having it.
Oh, clairvoyant, you mean Grandma Longtooth?
Yeah.
Did you see those chompers like a horse mouth?
God. Yeah, those weren't the chompers I was interested in the movie, though. We'll get to that in a minute. So they're trying to acclimate to her shit, and she is being crazy, and her mom's not having it, and so she grabs her daughter, or Grandma grabs mom by the shoulders and is like, I will always be with you, and then she dies, which everyone's all sad about.
On vengeance.
She says that, too. And then she becomes Batman. Yeah. The mom does, because her mom dies.
Something in the way.
Grandma's dead, and then I can't remember. Oh, they're in a shopping center, and Carol Ann gets lost, which is really scary, you know, because Heather O'Rourke was a great child actor.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, that goes all the way, and that goes in all three
kidding
movies.
aside, she legitimately actually the acting of the main cast in the first two movies very solid.
Oh yeah, excellent.
Yeah,
but like when I saw her lost in that shopping center, I was just like, I mean, I felt like I was looking around in the movie because I was like, where is her mom? She's scared. She's
you like paused it. You're like, does this DVD have multiple camera angle feature?
Does it have that special feature where I can pop my head in and kind of look around? And then she runs into Poltergeist Man.
Yeah, Raising Cain himself.
Raising Cain himself with his 10,000 tooth smile.
Yeah. Founder of today's sponsor, Raising Cain's Children Fingers.
That's
You're
right.
all gonna fry in there.
Children Fingers. Get them today while they're hot.
From the fires of hell.
So this guy is great. He is an amazing fucking villain.
Yeah.
And especially when he starts singing. Because he's like, I'll calm you down, sweetheart, with a song.
That's really good. That's exactly what he sounds like.
And he starts singing a fucking crazy-ass Bible song.
Yeah, it's like, it's seriously like oh, the blood of Jesus will bring you to your doom.
Yeah,
everyone is happy when they're dead inside the tomb or whatever.
So calm down with me, sweetheart, and let me eat your soul.
Look at all my teeth and look in my mouth hole.
You can find the Lord in there if you really squint. Let me take you by the hand.
You need a breath mint.
Which is
Poltergeist 2, the musical.
That's right. This is on. We're giving you a preview of what's going to be on Broadway soon. And then she tromps away with her arms crossed in a bobbing, dancing.
That's
air.
right.
And then he does a little soft shoe, and he's like, "Come with me to my home and be my wife."
And then she looks at him and she goes, "Idiotic superstar." Who would ever really want to go and top that?
He's like, "Top that." Well, he's saying top hat because he's like, he's hard of hearing,
Yeah.
His whole skull is caved in.
He gives me
the willies.
He gives me tall man vibes. Like it reminds me a little bit of like a more religious, like a religious cult leader version of Tall Man from Phantasm.
Well, I mean, Tall Man was, he ran a funeral area.
A funeral area?
Well, I was going to say home, but I was like, or was it because he had bodies stashed there, but it was also a funeral home. It was very confusing.
That's normal. That's how all cemeteries work.
No, I mean, like, remember the hall that had, like, all the morgue things where you, like, pull the bodies out of all of them?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, a funeral home will keep a couple.
So,
in
at
the
your
casket.
home, you have a chest of drawers. Those are called chest drawers because they hold torsos in them. They're just a bunch of drawers with torsos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the old man, Cain, Foster Cain, is like, "I'm going to make you my finger puppet," or whatever. And Carol Ann's not having it.
She's like, "I'm no man's finger puppet, jabroni."
And then she does the rap hands.
Yeah,
or the rap
hands.
arms. Crossing your arms like a rapper in the 90s. You know what it's like. And then mom comes, and she's like, "Hey, whoa, this is my daughter. Thank you for finding him." And he's like, "Maybe I can come over for dinner, and we can all have sex."
Yeah.
Well, except for the sex part. He said, "Let's all have dinner and hold hands, and you can be in my cult. Come on."
He's just like, "You got a real special little girl there."
Yeah,
and the mom's like, "Oh, thank you for watching her. Thank you so much."
Thank you so much. And yes, she is quite special. She's great.
Yeah, she's going to grow up into a real hottie, don't you think? She's going to be a real sexy broad one day.
Yeah, and she's going to probably have an older man as a husband. Know any cool older men?
Anyway, real nice chatting with you. Here's our address and our social security numbers.
here's our address and Carol Ann's personal schedule. And so
silly me. I forgot to tell you where she goes to school.
So they go back and then Tim the Shaman Taylor is at the house now. He just shows up and is like, "Hey, I'm going to protect you." And Coach is like, "What?" And then
he's
that's
like,
when,
"Oh, it's going to be real wacky having a Native American in our house." And then that's when the sitcom music starts.
dun, 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 dun. And then it shows him do his like butterfly thing, and Carol Ann's like, "Look, he's covered in butterflies like Native Americans do."
Oh, brother, not again. And he crosses his arms.
Womp, womp. Credits. And then, so there's a point where Taylor's not there or something, because that's when the Cain shows up.
No, he's there because remember, Cain says, "You got an Indian staying with you, don't you?" And he's like, "Oh, that's weird. Yeah, we do."
Well, I'm glad you said Indian, because what he said was super racist.
Yeah, because I've been saying Native
Redskin.
American, but the quote is he said Indian, I believe.
No, I know. I was like,
Oh, okay.
I was being.
He said, "You got a football team with a problematic name living here, don't you?" And he's like, "The Orioles." Yes, I know that's a baseball team. That's the joke, everyone.
Yeah, lay off.
Yeah. You can go ahead and stop emailing me about
We're
that.
so tired of joking on this show.
I'm so tired of people coming at me for my serious sports talk. Yeah, so he's there for like a little while, and then he's like, "It's time to do this ceremony that will help you now. I don't know why we had to wait so long."
Well, and then he like makes fun of his car because he's like, he says he likes the car, and then he fixes it, quotes, which makes it worse because Coach T. Nelson is like, "Hey, it's worse than it was before," and
Here
Taylor,
we go again.
So, okay, yeah, so Cain's at the door, and this is my all-time favorite thing. I remember seeing this as a kid, and me and my sisters would laugh. We would howl with laughter and quote this line all the time where he's, showing all 100 million of his teeth, and he's saying, "Let me in." And it's so great because he really I want him to get in there.
You're like, "Oh, yeah, I feel bad, buddy."
And then he's like, "Now, before it's too late." And Coach D. Nelson is like kind of getting hypnotized. He's like, he's almost got him.
He's like, "I mean, I guess you could come in for like a second."
Yeah, for a second.
I mean, I've got some
Rest
coffee
your
on
feet.
already.
Yeah, and then fucking Carol Ann is like, "Dad," and it breaks the spell.
"Dad,
Can you come over here and watch the static with me? What televisions? I thought I broke them all.
And then he's like, "Oh, wait, you're a creepy weirdo. I can't let you in my house."
Yeah. And he's like, "You're all gonna die." But hey, respect. Because when Coach lays his foot down, no, you're not coming in here with your wet dog smell. Old man Cain is like, "Oh, sorry to have troubled you. I guess I'll just disappear in front of you."
Oh, Jesus sang about his blood being old. And then I drank it and he said, "You're cold. I'm going to church and I'm going to die. I'm going to church where the doves cry." Prince song. That's what he was singing.
I would die for.
He's walking away going, "Bring me a higher love."
No, he's walking away and he's saying, "We're no strangers to love. We know the score. So do I."
And so we've come to the end of the road. Still I can't let go. It's unnatural to me. I belong to you. We're all gonna die.
Oh, yes, that's it. So anyway, he disappears.
So they're doing their weird peyote ceremony.
Where he gets the powers of the fire?
Yeah.
Which do nothing?
The Native Americans like, the real power was believing in yourself.
Well, that's what's weird is that he gets these powers, and then it's almost like in the next scene when Taylor's like, well, my work here's done, he leaves.
Right, and why did he leave?
And then immediately he gets possessed by Cain via mezcal worm.
Yeah, I want to address that because he specifically says he's drinking tequila. Tequila does not have worms. Mezcal typically doesn't have worms either unless it's real shitty. That did look like a real shitty bottle of booze. And there's so much wrong with it, and this scene was so fucking gross.
It was so gross. Now, here's the flip side. I said that when I was a kid with my sisters, we loved the Let Me In. This was the part I had to look away from every single time. Like seeing that worm just bubble up as he drank, and I'm just like, oh God, oh God. Because like as a kid, I had like a pathological fear of like worms, not snakes. Worms.
Yeah, I know that they're the different things.
Well, I'm just saying, like, So he gobbles up this worm and then immediately becomes possessed by the worm who was possessed by Cain. And
Worm Cain.
And it's great because he goes through like that transformation that Indiana Jones went through in Temple of Doom, where he's all like, ugh. And then he turns and you see it in his eye. Oh, it's Charles Foster Kane.
And since Cain possesses him, he starts singing Boys to Men again. He's like, Motown Philly back again.
No, he starts singing the Coach theme.
Da, 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 da.
And then, of course, Mom's not having that when he's doing that. He's doing it to her.
She's like, what's wrong with you? That's from a different show.
You're not in that yet.
You're not in that yet.
And then he's like, and of course, as we all know, when a ghost possesses a human body, it's like, oh, whoa, hormones, I forgot. So instead of going after Carol Ann, which is what he should have done, he's like, I gotta have sex with this woman. He starts like groping her, and then immediately she's like, whoa, my husband would never grope me like this. So
whoa, my husband does not want to have sex with me.
So he's possessed. I need to say I love him to get the demon out, which he vomits up a fucking a monster creature that looks like, and Conrad will keep disagreeing with me, and I don't care. Clearly the same goblin from House who was Ben the soldier.
And I keep telling you he doesn't look anything like Dr. House.
He does. He's got that ghoulish look that all British people have. And he plays piano. Anyway,
he's using a cane. That's why they called him Cain.
See?
Actually, he wasn't using a cane. That's why they called him Cain.
That's why they call it the blues.
That's why they call it the blues.
That's why they call me Cain. The cult leader. And wife, before that happened, mom, I keep calling her different things. Mom has a vision, because she's also clairvoyant, of Charles Foster Kane being a cult leader in the 1800s and the cave, blah, blah, blah.
That happens after.
Well, no. When he was saying, let me in, remember? Because she was having that when that was happening. And I know this because it was intercut, because like she's like, they're doing the Dutch angle and she's like leaning against the bathroom mirror and going, oh, like she's orgasming from this fucking clairvoyance. Oh, I see things.
Oh, that's why she doesn't want to have sex with Coach T. Nelson later. She's like, I already came super hard.
Earlier this afternoon. While you were talking to an old dead man.
Look. You can't pick your kinks. You just stumble upon them one day.
Yeah. She's like getting clairvoyant in the bath later.
Am I right, folks?
She's thinking about dead people. So the demon creature becomes a worm and then a person and then a worm monster thing. And then they totally like squash that out. They like get the raid. Yeah.
And that's what happens when you drink tequila with additives, folks. You need
exactly.
Non-additive.
come on, guys, get on the trolley.
Yeah, and then somehow Legend of Zelda Rubinstein is back, and then they go into a cave, and there's a pile of heads, and they go to the other world.
Yeah, that seems weird, because it seems like...
Again, very rushed.
When they open the movie, it almost seems like they approached Zelda Rubinstein and said, hey, there's a sequel, you want in? And she was like, nah, I've got to be in this movie, Teen Witch. And so they replaced her with the shaman, right? That's why they wrote that story. But then when she comes into the picture, it's almost like, what was the shaman for? The shaman was protecting them, but now she comes in and is like,
he wasn't. Well. He just kind of was like, I was just here to show you the fire and the way, and now I am leaving.
And now I'm leaving.
Bye.
And then she comes in and is like, oh, well, he clearly did.
Well, I'm here to pick up the slack where he left off. Now we're going to go down to the cave with the pillar of heads, and you're going to go to the other side where your mom is, or your grandma, in your case, Carol Ann. And, you're going to kind of die for a minute, but then somehow she's going to bring you back. And then that's going to be the end of the movie, y'all. That's going to be all she wrote. So we're just going to get in there real quick, take care of this Cain fella until the next movie.
I had to rewatch the ending a couple times.
Yeah, I backed it up 2 times. I had to watch it 3 times.
Because I was so shocked.
I thought I missed something.
Yeah, I was so shocked that, like, the final confrontation was just like, oh. Because, you see him, and he's all like, blah, and then she's just like, no, and then he gives the a shaman his car. It's the end of the movie. Like, you're just like, wait, what? Whoa, what happened? Why was there no battle or something? Or they didn't have any weight to it. It seemed as easy as if it were like Nightmare on Elm Street, which we'll be talking about live October 30th. If somebody was like, oh, all you have to do is never fall asleep, but if you fall asleep, just don't dream of Freddy. Credits. Easy. Just dream of something else.
Just watch a couple episodes of My Little Pony before you go to sleep. Keep it nice and light. Yeah. Maybe watch some 90 Day Fiancé.
Ooh, no. That would be a different nightmare. Then I would be like, where's Freddy at?
Freddy, come get ya, boy.
Yeah, where are those little girls? 1, 2, buckle your shoe or whatever. Come on, get that guy out.
Anyway, Mr. Cain, we went into the other world and then came out, and so now we're all laughing, and Legend of Zelda Rubinstein's like, you did it. Now everything's fine until the next movie.
You did it.
You did it. You came through from the other side.
She gives him like a grape chopsticker.
Yeah.
She puts it right on their head. and they're so happy.
And Carol Ann, I'm going to give you this badge that says Junior Parapsychologist.
And your decoder ring will be in the mail.
Your decoder ring will be in the mail, and I'll be sending you messages from the great beyond.
Ooh. Just kidding.
Just kidding. It'll be from Minneapolis. All right, well, now, finally, we are in the last of the franchise, Poltergeist. I.
Well, that's the title in Mexico. And we're actually talking about Poltergeist I.
Yes.
Colloquially known as Poltergeist 3.
Yes, subtitled Apartments Are Murder.
Well, specifically, apartments that are in high-rises that are buildings that are also art galleries that are also a building that someone runs like it's a circus, because
like an Andy Circus.
Like an Andy Circus, because the father runs the place.
I like at the beginning there was a scary window wiper guy, and when I first saw the squeegee as the first thing you see, and I was like, oh my god, a haunted squeegee.
Hey, I appreciate that about this movie. They're not fucking around.
It gets right into it.
Get right to it. They're going back to their roots, like in the first one. The haunting's here. It's here.
And as you alluded to earlier, they're basically like, oh, hey, Carol Ann, remember how you came to stay with your aunt and uncle for a little while? Anyway, time for us to leave the house, the apartment, and take you to school, even though you're just visiting. And
well, it's like Xavier's School for the Gifted because she has superpowers, right?
Right.
But the first movie, the second movie, they show you this family. We love the family. They're a unit that you want to support. In this, right off the bat, we're told, oh, the aunt, it's clear the aunt doesn't really like you. Because she calls her aunt. She calls her a different name, or she calls her aunt something.
Yeah, cunt, I think is what it is.
Oh, they replaced A with the C.
Yeah.
No, but it's like right off the bat,
It's
Tom Skerritt.
And
Tom Skerritt is like, hey, Carol Ann, how's it going? And it's like, okay, cool. Yeah. Old Uncle Tom. That's cool. But then once the aunt comes in, she's just like, oh, God, I can't believe it.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it.
Any of it.
I mean, she already could not have believed it when this daughter is thrust upon her, because that is not her daughter. That is Tom Skerritt's daughter from a previous marriage.
Cain's the one that was wanting to do some thrusting, am I right?
Well, the builders from the first movie wanted to do some
thrusting. We also built this apartment building.
We built this city on bones
and death.
There you go. We got there.
So then they're like, all right, everyone, ready to go? And they go to the regular elevator, and it opens, and there's a bunch of people, and they're like, we'll take the next one. And then immediately they just go to the service elevator. Why didn't they just go there to begin with?
Because they like to be with the people.
Because the movie's only like 88 minutes, and they needed some time filler.
I got to say, I love the mirrors, okay? The spooks with mirrors, really cool, okay? It gets my... Okay. It gets my, what is that called? Approval. My seal of approval. There we go.
It gets my okie dokie.
Give me a fish, because it gets my seal of approval.
Give me a fish, because I'm going to eat for a day.
But only for one day, because you gave it to me. You did not teach me it.
You did not
teach me
the
fine
print.
So yeah, the mirrors motif, really cool. I liked the
two-way mirror in the classroom. Yep, standard.
Okay, yeah, the Dr. Seaton.
Okay,
which
I really want to address that.
Yeah,
his name is Dr. Seaton, Seaton or whatever. But the first half of the movie, they call him Dr. Satan.
I still think you heard that wrong.
And I backed up. I was like, did they say Satan? And I had to look at the subtitles. And I was like, oh, that's a little on the nose. Like, Dr. Satan.
No, I mean, I thought it was more like Dr. Seaton, because like he's a psychologist, and of course all psychologists are always sitting down. So it was like, oh, Dr. Seaton, he's Seaton himself. Fuck this doctor all the way with dry, okay? Because
he's the worst.
He's the worst, and he's the worst right out of the gate, because Carol Ann comes in. Now, first off, he's in a specialty school, right? From what I understand. Mm-hmm. And this little girl who's like 10 or whatever, she's coming in and she sees things, and he's immediately just like treating her like she's a manipulative adult. Because she's like, oh, yeah, clearly. And not even just like, oh, she's got a wild imagination, which... That's understandable. No, sure. He goes top shelf with it and is like, she is manipulating people on the nth degree, in which she's doing mass hypnosis.
He's like, you see, she just tricked you into seeing stuff. This fucking bitch.
Because like the coffee cup, like, and even he sees it. He's like, sees it, and it goes through the two-way mirror and it shatters.
And he's like, check that out. She just hypnozed us all into believing that was real.
Into thinking that was real when it was you, fellow doctor, who threw the mug through the... He says that. I was like, what planet are you from?
Dude.
And that's fine. I get it. He's like in a situation like that where spooks aren't real, right? Actually, you know what? I think I've said this before in a previous episode, but I always have a hard time with stuff like this. Now, this is what I'm talking about. So, Poltergeist 1, 2, 3. The ghosts are real.
Right.
Evil coming into the world is real because the movie says so. Right. You can't just treat this world as if it's our world, where clearly it's not, because there's not really any hard
but
evidence.
No one believes them. Remember, like in the second one, when they're talking about their house disappearing, they're like, well, we can't just tell the insurance company our house disappeared.
Right, but what I'm saying is that whenever movies have a sorry, it looks like it's falling off.
Oh.
Whenever movies have a fiction where within the fiction the rules are this exists. Kind of like I said, Nightmare on Elm Street, live show, October 30th. Freddy exists. They established that the parents knew about that because they keep putting the hush-hush on it, and it's a local thing, right? See, and so they covered their tracks in that way. In a movie like this, in a movie like The Haunting or The Haunting on Hill House or whatever, like all these fucking haunting movies where ghosts are real, but people don't believe in it. I kind of hate that, and I understand that that's like a trope, and obviously you need something to push against. You need that friction. But when somebody outright disbelieves, it's okay to be like, well, I've not seen any proof, so I don't believe in it. But he jumps to...
You actually threw that coffee cup, and we all just didn't see what we just saw.
Right. He couldn't just say...
Not believing his own eyes.
Right. He couldn't just say, it's possible the glass just shattered.
He couldn't even just say... All right, that was weird, or something.
No, because that's where my mind would go.
Like, even if he's like, I don't believe in ghosts, but I don't have an explanation for that.
Yeah, it's like
that would also be acceptable.
It's a faulty glass. The glass just broke. Fuck. But no, he's saying
you set the coffee mug on top of some Mexican jumping beans, and they jumped with such force it flung it through the mirror. Yes.
Yes, that's why I'm the king doctor here.
Yes. Well, as you know, I keep a very powerful magnet in the bottom of my coffee cup. And, of course, the opposite pole magnet behind this mirror.
So the doctor sucks.
The previous episode that we talked about that in was the Santa Claus because the parents didn't believe in Santa Claus even though clearly he was real and giving their kids presents that they did not get them.
In fact, that's my belief in in any movie that has
Religion?
Santa Claus being real. And people are like, oh, Santa's not real. It's like, but when you get a gift and it says from Santa, and clearly within the reality of this movie, nobody bought that.
Right.
That he's real.
Wouldn't that have been a cool twist in this movie if the ghost was Santa Claus?
Oh, my God. No, there should be a movie called The Ghost of Santa Claus. And it's like a haunted Christmas movie. A horror Christmas movie?
Yeah, I think it's just called Santa Claus, but spelled like bear claws.
They actually have. I feel like there's a couple movies called Santa Claus.
Silent Night, Deadly Night is one.
Well, that wasn't called Santa Claus. That was called Silent Night.
But it had Santa Claus in it.
Well, it had Santa not with bear claws.
It should have had evil Jesus in it.
Oh, but you know what? I don't think there exists a movie called Santa Claus, like Claws, where it's just regular Santa, but he happens to have the hands of a bear, and he's also evil. There's been monsters.
What if he's nice, but it's like Edward Scissorhands? He accidentally kills children and destroys them, and he's just like, oh, my hands! I just want to love them.
And Vincent Price is like, I made you these human hands.
I made you these human hands.
But I decided not to give them to you. Like some kind of asshole.
So, I don't understand why the spirits are there to begin with.
Cain's back.
Yeah.
That's the tagline on the poster.
This is Raising Cain.
Wait, hold on. The tagline from the first movie is "They're here." The second one is "They're back," and this one is "They're back again."
Yeah, Motown Cain is back again.
That's how uncreative it is. Same villain.
Yeah. Also, just a practical question: why these kids are like, let's go to the pool in Chicago in the winter when the AC doesn't work in our building?
Oh, that's no. You're right. Yeah. No, the heat turned off, so it's cold.
That's what I'm saying. Why would you want to go to the pool when the heat's off and it's cold?
Yeah.
Even if it's an indoor pool that's normally heated, they established that the heat was not working
because it was illegal. Teens do things because it's illegal.
Oh, did you notice how knowledgeable the daughter was on getting past the cameras? She's like running like a Navy SEALs team.
Well, no, Speed ended up stealing this trick. She's like, we have to play it on a loop so they don't know.
That's right.
And if the swimming pool drops lower than 50 degrees, it'll explode. Because it freezes over.
Oh, remember the most awkward kiss ever when they are bringing back like snackies or whatever, and she and that boy kind of crane their necks to like have a little kissy time?
I don't like to watch young people kiss, so I usually turn away.
Also, why is there a deep freeze with animal carcasses in this building?
It's for the kitchen,
Oh, yeah. I know like most restaurants have a freezer where they have primal cuts of meat. They have whole cow sides hanging, and they're frozen so they can't break them down.
Look, Cain has taken over the building and turned it into some kind of like cube situation where all the rooms are fucking like rotated.
Cain has turned it into a spooky cow processing plant.
Although that was a cool, there were a lot of cool effects in this. All of them were practical. Or not all, not every single one, but like...
Practically all of them were practical.
Right. So when they're in that room and they're trapped and the water's rising and it's like, oh my God, it's an easy trick to pull off, but still it's like, they're standing up, but the water's rising sideways. Oh, that's so weird.
That's so scary.
Crazy. Yeah. And then Zelda Rubinstein comes through it and she's dry, which, reverse effect. She gives him the necklace. Wear this necklace because that outfit looks terrible. This will sprucing it up a little bit.
Honey, you need this to complete your ensemble.
And how about the little showdown in the parking lot? I liked all the parking lot stuff. Because the trio...
I love a good parking lot scene.
Yeah. There was a good one in Transporter 2.
He's like, I've got to get past this parking lot.
In it. No, when they fall in the puddle, that's cool effects. Again, easy to pull off, but still scary. And then then suddenly it's all Snow King Mountain, and the cars are all like, "Oh, we're Frosty the Snowman cars," and they start like derbying. What is that called? Roadside derbying each other, monster truck style, or what is that called when you're crashing each other?
Demolition derby?
Yeah, there you go. Demolition derbying each other. The cars are.
They were demolition manning each other with 3 seashells.
And then like what's her name is like. She throws something through the windshield, and there's a big light, and it shows Cain, and he has like the great line. What is it? I can't remember. I think he says "you."
That's it.
Well, because like they're like, "What do you want?"
Yeah, no, he's
and he
in
goes,
the mirror, and
"You," and it's all digital and sounds crazy.
Oh yeah, I think it's because he's in the mirror. He says, "I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you do bounces off, reflects off of me, and sticks to you."
No, I'm a mirror.
I'm
and you're
a mirror.
You.
You're the glue.
No, you're you.
I'm the mirror. You're you. Whatever you say reflects on back. And now you're dead in there, like I said in the last movie.
It tracks.
And the aunt and uncle are like, "Quick, we've got to get outside and then go back into our apartment through the window because then we'll be in the regular world and not the scary frozen world."
Yeah, it tracks.
Yeah.
And there were spooky versions of the kids.
Yeah.
Okay, first off,
that was Carol Ann Heather O'Rourke's real ghost because she had died.
That's right.
During filming,
yeah. And they caught it on camera. You know how when you catch a ghost on camera, it means it's real.
Yeah, it's called the money shot.
I think that means something else in other films. Now, remember when Zelda gets there, and then evil Carol Cain grabs her, and then she like, you know how you have instant oatmeal, you add water, it becomes oatmeal. Well, this was instant ghoul because she grabbed her, she instantly turned into a skeletal ghoul.
That's right.
Like, and it happened so quick, and I think that's how bad the logic of this movie is. I think that's her. She dies. She dies, and it's like, what the fuck? You just killed off a main character just like that. She didn't even get a last word. She like grabs her, then she turns into a skeleton and dies. Like what? And because every time she appears later, she's a ghost, a good ghost. And who should pop out of this pinata ghost, or I'm sorry, this pinata skeleton, but the stepdaughter to the aunt, which is a cool effect. I like it. She's screaming her fucking head off and coming through the clay that is this prop.
And then the window washer's like, "Oh, hey, baby, you're looking pretty good.
What are you, going to school? You smell like Forever 21.
I'm just hoping you're not old enough to have a job."
So, want me to pick you up? Where'd you go? It turns out she's not really her. She's a demon.
It's zombie body snatchers.
Which is kind of confusing after the fact when Dr. Seaton gets there and they push him, or she pushes him into the elevator shaft, which is like, yes. And then the boyfriend shows up and they start laughing and they just like tear each other's like cheek skin off.
Yeah, that's right.
Which like, why?
This reminded me of Hellraiser.
and I know it's to be like, to tell the audience, oh, they're ghouls. But like just showing them on the mirror side laughing maniacally would have like, you would have been like, oh shit, they're ghosts. But no, they had to
stupid, Jono. They had to really spell it out for you.
Oh, sure. They had to tear the flap.
Didn't you notice they were wearing name tags that said zombie version?
Zombie version. So they all go to the other side except the aunt, and she has to prove herself worthy by
pulling the master sword out of its...
Yes, but through the mirror. She had to pull the master sword through the mirror. She had to have at least a certain number of hearts.
Yeah, that's right.
And she had to have all three stones of bravery and courage or whatever.
Spiritual stones.
Yeah, spiritual stones. All the amulets.
Yeah, they had to go outside of the building, come back down, and jump back into the apartment through the window portal. Yes.
And then Tom Skerritt gets pulled to the other side, and it's just the aunt, and she's looking through the mirror, and it's Carol Cain. No, it's it's Charles Foster Kane, and he's all like, ha 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 ha, because it's played by a different actor. Ha ha ha, I've got your family, and then because they had to rush the ending because unfortunately Heather O'Rourke passed away.
That was actually, I'm making fun, but that was a tragic death. She died really young. Rare, like, kind of medical thing.
And it was very horrible.
It is sad, yeah.
But they had to wrap this movie up, and so they decided, well, Zelda Rubinstein is in there, and she's just like, hey, bro, I can take you to the other side.
She's like, oh, was that what all this ruckus was about?
I'll do it.
Brother, I can take you to the other side. You don't need some little girl, but can we stop on the way because I'm hungry?
You don't need some little girl to teach you a couple moves.
Honey, whatever that little girl can teach you, I can show you times 10 because I've been around the block. She was weirdly, overtly sexual.
Yeah, I know. It was weird. And, like, to go with this ending, I mean, I guess that's all they could do because, like, it was hard to believe he would just go with her. So she had to really, like, she had, like, the red lipstick. Yeah. She was dressed like Lolita. Before she started talking to him, she turned around, she unbuttoned her shirt one more. She kind of propped up her girls a little bit. And then he said, button that back and we'll call it a deal. And so they walk off into the
into scary zombie world.
And then it cuts to the family, and they're together, except it's clearly not Carol Ann because her head is turned and she's a different size.
It's a grown woman.
Yeah, it's just a grown
130-pound woman.
It's like a 15-year-old. And then it's like, oh, cool. Okay, we did it. And then it fades to a wide shot of the building, and then lightning strikes, and we hear Cain laugh.
It's even better than that. The lightning strikes the Sears Tower. It's not just some random apartment building. It's the Sears Tower.
And that's the twist. They were in the Sears Tower the whole time.
Yeah.
So yeah, totally scary movie.
Hey, we used to live in Chicago.
Ooh boy, I am well spooked.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to have trouble getting to sleep tonight in my scary apartment building / house / other house.
/ studio apartment studio.
/ studio apartment studio, yeah. So, Jono, this is an easy one. There's only 3 movies in this franchise. We got to put them in order.
I don't know how it's
from
easy.
From goodest to not as goodest.
That's right. We're going to put these movies in order from best to worst, in our opinion. And, of course, we've not discussed this beforehand. So we are discovering who is right and who is wrong.
All right. I'm going to go first.
All right, yep.
My number one pick out of these three is the number one, the original Poltergeist, the first one. This is not just because it's the first one. It's got the best acting. It makes the most sense-ish, kind of. And I love the effects. First one.
It seems weird that we're even putting these in order because it's such a short list.
Yeah.
Like the other franchises that we're
options.
doing, there's more, there's more of a surprise. Like, whoa, you thought Hellraiser Deader was better than Hell? Well,
Ugh, spoiler alert. Jono has incorrect opinions.
Yeah, well, if you want to check that out, we did it last week. Actually, I don't think I put Deader. No, Deader was absolutely. Well, you know what? You got to just listen. So, I mean, yes, Poltergeist 1, the original.
1-1.
That one's the best one, clearly.
Honestly, number 2 is number 2 for me, too. And I actually almost put this in first place just because I love Cain so much.
He's great.
And his character is so spooky and great, but the ending is just such a fucking mess. I had to move it down a peg.
Understandable. Cain is so great.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that before I reveal what my number 2 spot is.
No.
I fucking love Cain and the actor portraying him, and it's a shame he wasn't in the third one, which is my number 2 pick is Poltergeist 3.
Oh.
But here's why. Okay.
God.
It is abysmal. Like the story is terrible. The dialogue's not great. But I'm a sucker for those mirrors.
Oh my God, Jono.
And just the effects in general. Like I'm definitely going visuals for this. Story and characters. Number 2 is the pick. But and the visuals are good too. I mean, you had H.R. Giger doing monster designs, but this one just had I love a good parking lot scene, and this one had 2.
Even the fucking parking lot.
All right, what's your number 3 pick?
Well, Poltergeist 3 is number 3. I went literally. It's just the order that they came out. They just got worse and worse. Number 3 is a piece of shit,
which is typical with you would think that all of these like any franchise you would imagine. Oh, the first one's the better one, the second one. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Some franchises are different, and clearly mine is. Because, my third is the second one for the reasons I already
After
stated.
you just sucked Cain's unholy penis for 10 minutes, now you're like, yeah, but the first one he was in is the worst one.
Well, it left me wanting. What can I say? Well, you heard it here, folks. Poltergeist 3... by a margin is the number 2 pick that I've He's Conrad shaking his head like it's not the best. So check out the Poltergeist trilogy. It's streaming now on Blu-ray or DVD if you happen to have it. I don't know.
That's not what streaming is.
Well, it's easy for me to do it.
Make sure you listen to all the other episodes we're releasing this month to ring in our new season of episodes. We're doing all horror movie franchises all month, every week, leading up to our October 30th live show at Dallas Comedy Club at 8:30 p.m. on the main stage. You can get tickets at dallas-comedyclub.com. And hey, you got a film fight idea? You want to hear something? You want to reach out to us? Give us a shout, battles@filmfightspodcast.com. And make sure when you're listening to the podcast, wherever you're listening to us, come on, man, just rate us, subscribe, show some love. Helps us out.
Yeah, because we love being helped. And you can also help us with our Battles Mini by also giving us the requests for horror movie battles.
We're going to be featuring your picks during our Halloween finale mini show with Freddy versus Jason, and then we'll be talking about your battle picks. Right, so drop us a line, why don't you?
Yeah, just why don't you?
So let us in. Let us in
to your hearts. Which reminds me the great old tale by
Bye! I can't believe he didn't call me. He left me just like my father, and for the same reason. Well, that's my time.